So welcome back to a new video. This video is going to be on a 4-day meal plan that is plant-based, vegan, and all homemade. And none of that is on purpose. And so this is just something that I would have normally have been eating. And usually when I do the food videos, almost every food video that I've ever done, I've tried to stick to ingredients that anybody can get their hands on. I've stayed away from doing anything that comes out of a dehydrator because not everybody has a dehydrator. I've kind of stuck to items that even if you don't have them in your local grocery store, you can probably find them easily online. I've also tried to do all of the food recipes where they're easily measured. So if you wanted to reproduce them, you could kind of follow my measurements exactly. The challenge with all of those is that that's not how I normally eat. I normally just kind of like throw things together, a little of this and a little of that. So in order to do those food videos, I have to kind of like reverse engineer and go backwards and figure out how many teaspoons of something was that, how many cups, etc., etc. And so what I want to do today is this is just what I would eat over the course of a 4-day trip. A lot of these things I don't expect you to be making. You do have to have a dehydrator in order to have a bunch of these ingredients out here. There's also a lot of home baked goods that are in this, and I know not everybody likes to cook at home and likes to buy packaged stuff, but I think it's a good idea of if you want to stay away from buying prepackaged stuff, if you want to mess around and make your food at home, this is a good example of a meal plan. Now, generally what I shoot for is under 2 pounds per day. And that 2 pounds would be about 4,000 calories. So that's kind of what this represents. Maybe at the end of this, maybe I'll weigh it and I'll stick it in at the end of the video, or I'll put it in the description how much it weighs. But taking a look at what's in front of me, I'm pretty sure I've met that goal. Even the heaviest things, like some of the cookies, even all of those are 4,000 calories, under 2 pounds a day. And actually, it's probably not 4,000. You're probably up around 36, 37, 38 for those of you that like to count things and then call me out in the comments. So what I want to do is kind of just slowly make my way through the different things, explain to you what you're looking at. There are going to be no special effects. There's going to be no edits for this video. It'll be a single cut video. So it's really aimed at folks that are looking to up their game for their backpacking meals. It's aimed for people that are kind of interested in being plant-based or vegan, and just to give you some insight as to what I'm eating. And I do just want to point out that if you are a meat eater carnivore, please don't be like put off. Actually, if you're a meat eater, you're probably already turned the video off. But this is not, it tastes good. So give it a shot. All right, let me tell you how this is arranged. Every meal is on a paper plate. All the snacks between meals or dessert are on pieces of paper. So this would represent day 1. And so as you can see, I am not going to be eating breakfast on the trail for day 1. My plan is to probably eat as I'm driving up, or drive up early, eat something as soon as I get there, and then start hiking. And if I end up getting there that early, I will throw some more snacks in right here. This day right here, so for my second day, that is my highest mileage day. And so there are more calories on this day here, although everything is interchangeable. And on the last day, I'm only doing breakfast and then some snacks to get me out. And again, because it's the last day, I'm not worried about even if I go a little bit farther than my snacks last, I'm not worried about it. And so far as interchangeability, when I get out on the trail, I'm not really thinking, all right, this is exactly the order in which I'm going to eat things. I will switch and swap for whatever reasons. I think it is important that you don't just eat your favorite foods first, because then by the end of your trip, when you need that food in you, you're least likely to eat. And so I tend not to bring anything that I don't like. So everything here, I really kind of like equally. So I could, so if you kind of go across and look at, like, say, afternoon snacks, You know, on any given afternoon, I might take out, let's say I'm going on a Tuesday afternoon. This is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. When I'm actually out there on Tuesday, maybe I end up taking Thursday's bag out. So it doesn't matter how that goes. I'm not going to go over each thing in so much detail. So if you do have a question about any of the ingredients, or you have a question about any individual meal, leave me a comment and I'll make a video on it and dedicate it just to you. Because I think for the most part, with the exception of the cookies and the muffins, everything else out here, I think I've never included on the channel before, so far as a breakfast, lunch, dinner, or snack or anything. All right, so I'm gonna get up, change the camera angle, and we'll go through what's here. All right, and like I said, I'm gonna do this in a single cut. I don't feel like editing it. It's so ridiculously hot today. All right, first off, and actually let me make sure it's still recording. Sorry, hack job. Okay, so let's start on day one. So on day one, I just have a equivalent of a couple of dried apples. Again, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get there a little bit late in the morning and not early. So I'm just looking for something quick before lunch. So these are apples that I dried in my dehydrator. They're one of the simplest things that you can actually dry in a dehydrator. The next thing here, I have a tortilla and I have refried beans that I put in my dehydrator. And I don't have any plan on soaking the refried beans and rehydrating them. I will put them right into the tortilla and eat them crunchy. A lot of the food, there's not a lot of crunch to it, so I do appreciate the crunch at certain meals. For the snacks, going that way, I have some figs, apricots, dates, and I don't really have a name for these. These are not on the channel, but these are another like all nutrition, all complete cookie. So you can actually survive on these for an entire trip. And if you just ate only these cookies all day long, you would have every single macro, micro, carb, fat, protein that you would need. For dinner, I'm having sloppy joes. And so you have the tortillas, you have the TVP, I have powdered tomatoes, and I have sloppy joe mix. And that is one little shortcut that I did take. I did not make my own sloppy joe mix. That is a pre-made sloppy joe mix from the store. All right, next thing, let me make sure you can see this. Yes. The next thing over here is, this is a chia pudding. And so I have the chia seeds, I have some cocoa and protein powder, and some date sugar. And if you notice this meal plan compared to some of the other ones I've done, I don't have any kind of powdered milk, powdered soy milk, coconut milk. I think I'm done using coconut milk in my recipes. It does leave a little bit of residue on the cold soak jars, so definitely something for 4 days. I wouldn't use it because it just leaves behind too much residue. When I go overnight, I don't care. So what I've done is I had some free samples of protein powder. I forgot the name of the vegan plant-based, it's vegan plant-based protein powder. And I had a bunch of free samples, so I put a little bit into some of the meals just to kind of, I don't know, give it more of that milky sort of taste. So that's a cocoa and protein powder and date sugar. The date sugar, if you're not familiar with that, date sugar is not, I don't know, you can just call it ground dates. That's all it is it's dates that are just finely ground up, so that it's the sweetness of the date is kind of concentrated. All right, going back over here to day number 2. So I'm waking up in the morning, and this is my oatmeal mix. And I don't heat up my oatmeal again. This is all cold soaking. So nothing you see here will be cooked. I'm not going to bring a stove. With the temperatures the way they are, it is so hot this week. I can actually see myself putting this trip off. It's so ridiculously hot and so many bugs. But there's no way that I'm cooking anything. So this is my oatmeal mix for the first morning, and I eat it more like a muesli. So I don't even really let it cold soak. I'll kind of just like put the water in, mix it up, and then eat it. I can also, looking at temperatures, I can also see myself drinking my breakfasts. So putting in more water and just drinking them as I go. I think the last thing I'm going to want to do is sit around and get in just eaten alive by bugs. And I'm gonna need a lot more water with the temperatures the way they are. So I'm thinking I would probably just mix these up and drink them as I go. And I've got some raisins, got some oatmeal, a little bit of date sugar, a little bit of protein powder. And again, it's not a whole packet. That's just a small little amount. These are and cashews. And pro tip, if you want to buy some nuts for your backpacking trips, one of the cheap ways to do that is to find a company and buy the broken pieces. So instead of buying the whole, nice looking cashew, you can get them really cheap if you buy just broken pieces. Same things with a lot of the other nuts out there if you look for them. All right, for the snacks in between breakfast and lunch, I have 3 backpacking cookies. These are on my channel, the recipe for those. If you just type in backpacking cookies, Paul the Backpacker, you will find these. So what I do is, and these are complete nutrition cookies, I could live all day on them. And so I bake the cookies, and then I also put them in my dehydrator and dry them a little bit more. If you don't have a dehydrator, you can bake your cookies or bake them very slow at a lower temperature, and basically you're baking them and drying them out. For lunch, I have the tortillas, I have the dried onions, I have I forgot they're like dried canned tomatoes with the spices and stuff. And then in here, it's a mixture of 2 things that are dried. These are dried baked beans, and these are dried white beans. And so just blended them together, and again, put them in the tortilla and eat them. Apricots, figs, and again, same all nutrition cookies that are over there. For this meal right here, so this would be dinner time. This is a little bit different and funky here. And you know what? I don't know. I might add a pita to this meal. I'm not sure. But this is seitan, S-E-I-T-A-N, I believe. And this is dehydrated, and it's also seasoned. This right here is tomato powder, mustard, garlic, onion powder. So when I mix these together, I get ketchup. And then I dip this in, and I use it as a dip. Now, I can eat this in 2 ways. You can kind of see this is kind of pliable. So right now it's like jerky. So depending on how I feel, I might eat it as jerky dipped in. It's going to be really chewy. Or I can just soak this. And soaking it for just a little bit makes it, a lot less pliable. Soaking it for longer makes it more like eating, I don't know. If you're a meat eater, it makes it more like eating a piece of steak or something like that. And again, this I did not make at home. I have made my own seitan. But we have this store by my house, and when the quarantine started and restaurants people couldn't sell their stuff to the restaurants, this little store got a lot of their product. So I was able to get 10 pounds of seitan for $10. And then for dessert, I have 3 of, these are different cookies. These are, the main ingredients are a banana, oatmeal, something else. But these are all complete nutrition cookies as well. So you could survive all day long just on those. All right, day number 3. This is gonna be soaked overnight. So these are steel cut oats, and you can't just pour water in and eat them. I mean, maybe you could. So I will mix these up the night before. I happen to know, I think I know, that on the night that I'm on this meal plan right here, I will be right by a little river. So if it is really hot, I'm just gonna put my cold soak jar and kind of bury it in the river to keep it cool. So, but I will be soaking these overnight. So it's steel cut oats, it's a little bit of protein powder, it's dried blueberries with chia seeds embedded in them, a little bit of date sugar, and these are bean curds. This is dried. So I don't know if you've ever heard of those before. They come in 2 forms. They come in the sticks and they come in the knots. And so I'll soak that in overnight. In my jar, they'll kind of be like sticking straight up and down in the oats. And then in the morning, I'll take these out of the jar and I'll eat those first. And then I'll have the oatmeal. I have some of the backpacking muffins. There is a recipe on my channel for these. Again, all complete nutrition. You can survive on these all day long. Some apples. For lunch, I've got tortilla. I'm going to throw the bananas in and layer it with the peanut butter. That's my lunch. For my snacks, I have the all nutrition cookies, which they look different. It's the same cookie. I cooked it a little bit differently. I tried a little different process with the dehydrating and baking, but it's the same cookie. I have some blueberry leather. The difference between this and this is only blueberries and chia seeds. This right here is blueberry, chia seeds, sunflowers, whole bunch of other nuts. You can practically survive on those too. This right here is something cool that I don't think I've ever seen this on another backpacking channel. So this is jackfruit that has, it's a spice mix that we use to coat tofu before we bake it. And my wife one day had that spice, she was doing the tofu and she had some left over and we ate some jackfruit and she threw it in the jackfruit and it was delicious. So this is jackfruit with the spice mix and hummus all mixed together and then dehydrated, eaten with the pita. In my area, you can't really find tortillas anymore. It's kind of a run on them. So I'm substituting the pita. And then at the end of the night, I have some chia pudding. So that's the protein, chia seeds, cocoa, and date sugar. And last but not least, on my day hiking out, nothing special. The oatmeal raisins, protein powder, date sugar, and again, all of this you've seen before, so some cookies and stuff to hike out on. So there you go. Let me raise this up again. How's that? So if you've made it this far, you are dedicated to eating better outdoors. Is that camera straight? Hold on one second. That's good enough. So, and I'm not editing this out. I'm lazy with this video. So if you've made it this far, congratulations. You are dedicated to eating better in the outdoors. And if you have any questions about any of these things, please ask. I don't know whether I'm going to post this before my trip or after. So if I post it before, obviously it's going to be days before I can get to any of the comments. I'm not sure how that's going to fall. But there are some things that you might not be familiar with that I'm more than happy to do a separate video on, so please ask. Again, you're looking at about 2 pounds per day, about 36, 37, 3,800 calories per day, and I think that's it. So thank you for watching. Eat better on the trail, and if you have any question at all, please ask in the comments. Thanks.